Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So we're going a little different route today. I'm going to talk about real estate or investment. If you want to see all the videos I've done on this, I don't do too many on them, but you can check it out here. And if you're wondering why is John talking about real estate investment, I've been doing it since I was 19. So I bought my first house when I was 19. But anyway, I get a few questions about this, and I think this is great. You know, I talked about this in my soft skills book. If you haven't checked it out, you know, obviously get a copy of the book, and there's a chapter on there, a beginner chapter on real estate investment, for those of you that are interested. And the reason why I talk about this a lot for software developers is because, hey, you're usually getting paid pretty good money, and a lot of times software developers end up wasting that money, don't know what to do with it. Investing in real estate is a good option. So anyway, I got this question about investing in houses or condos, which I don't think I've covered this topic before. So this is from Vladimir. And he said, "Hi John, I like your YouTube channel very much. Really appreciate all the work you put into it. Huge amount of valuable information." Thank you, Vladimir. And he says, "I have a question regarding real estate investments. What are your thoughts about investing in condos versus houses? Are they a good option for renting out in a long run?" So there's a couple of things here. So first of all, when I look at a property, you know, I've got some condos, I've got fourplexes, duplexes, single family, right, office space. I'm looking primarily at the characteristics of the property, things like the cap rate. I want to really know, you know, without getting into too much of the technical investor terms, is essentially this: what is the deal, right? How much rent, how much money am I getting when I take all the money that comes in from rent and I subtract all the expenses, including the mortgage on it and including the maintenance fees, management fees, right, all of those things, how much is left over from a cash flow situation? What I'm not looking at is what is the expected price appreciation of the property. I know that's going to happen because I know that you know, appreciation tends to go with inflation over a long period of time. So I know that appreciation is going to happen in most markets, but I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about, is it a good deal? So the reason why I'm laying that foundation is because oftentimes what you'll find is that condos are in places where there are extreme price fluctuations and where there are not good deals. I'm not saying that every condo deal isn't a good deal. There are some for sure, and definitely in dip markets you can find good deals in condos, you know, as a steal. But that should be a caution for you, right? A lot of times, you know, you should be looking at the fundamentals, right, and looking at I always talk about real estate investment is for the 5-year, 10-year term minimum, not 1 or 2 years. You're not flipping a house and making money. That's called working. That's not investing. That's called speculating. It's not investing. Investing is longer term. So if you're looking at like 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when I first started investing in real estate, I said, hey, worst case scenario, in 30 years I have a paid off house. And that was always my attitude, is like, maybe I'm going to have to wait 30 years to get a return on this investment, but it'll be totally worth it because I'll be able to retire when I'm like 50 instead of 75, right? So that was always the plan. So when you look at a condo versus a house, that's what you need to take into consideration. And you just have to realize that if you're doing that, you're going to have the stomach for the condo market, which, you know, a place like this, right? I mean, this is a good example. There's tons of condos all around here in Mission Beach here in the Bay. And these are expensive ass condos, right? I mean, I'm guessing that most of these are like $1 million, right? And you're not going to get anywhere near the rent that's going to pay the mortgage on that. So if you were to buy here in the market doing well right now, it's going to be a bad investment. Like, just, you're not going to cash flow on that thing. You're going to be counting on appreciation, counting on the price going up. Now, if the market tanks, right, and suddenly you're seeing half off, and these condos that were going for $1 million go for $500,000, but they still rent out pretty high because they're still good vacation rentals, and you pick up a condo then, okay, then that's a totally different deal. So, you know, single family houses, you know, even duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, typically you're going to see less price fluctuation. Although you can buy, you know, in a bubble area, in a roller coaster area, you know, and these are kind of the areas, right? You know these markets because you hear about the hot real estate market, right? Southern California, most of California, right? Northern and Southern California. Las Vegas, right? That's always Florida, right? New York to some degree, although New York is a little bit more stable, I think, but on the up, it never goes down. But anyway, if you invest there, just realize that you're gonna have to have the iron stomach. That you got to find a good deal. deal. The fundamentals have to be good underneath, and that's the primary thing. And I'll say one more thing about condos, which is that a lot of people don't consider that condos have HOAs or POAs that are expensive usually, right? Whereas you buy a house, you might not even have a HOA, or it might be like $30 a month. But if you buy a condo, especially an expensive condo, it could be like $500 a month. Yeah, heck, I mean, I just bought a condo in San Diego. That's where I live in Pacific Beach, and the HOA, I just became the president of the HOA, by the way. It's $300 a month. That's what it is, right? So if you didn't know that and you bought it as an investment property, that would be $300 a month that you didn't have in your pocket that you thought that you had. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. It goes down to the fundamentals. It doesn't really matter what the characteristic of the property is. Different properties are going to fluctuate more in the kind of markets that tend to fluctuate. Condos obviously are going to fluctuate more than single families, but if the underlying fundamentals are good, then it's a solid investment. And that's how you need to think about investments anyway. So anyway, if you have a question for me, even a real estate one, I'm happy to answer. Just send me an email at john@simpleprogrammer.com. And if you like this video, if you want to see more of these videos, more of the real estate videos, of course, you can check out the playlist of the real estate videos and subscribe to the channel. Talk to you next time. Take care.